Welcome, everyone, to another episode of On the Range Podcast, OTR Vantage Point. I'm your host, Mark Kelley. Wherever you are, thank you for making us part today. We certainly appreciate you spending your time with us, Rick and I. Today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code OTR20, save yourself 20%, and get free worldwide shipping. We'll talk a little bit more about them. But I want to go over a few things. If you could just swing by kelleydefense.com, warhog.com, check out our training calendars, look at all the products that Rick has and I have on there. Check out our stores. He also has the In Honor of Duco loop leash that just launched. It goes to a portion of it goes to the In Honor of Duco project. You can read about the project on warhog.com. You can also donate directly. Great foundation they have there. While you're there, make sure you check out our industry partners. Check out all the other promo codes, just like the one from Manscaped. They're on there. You're going to save yourself a boatload of cash. A lot of great companies doing a lot of great things. Support them and help support our show. Also, while you're there, make sure you check out OTR Training on Demand. It's your one-stop video training catalog. It's up and ready. You can stream, you can direct download, and keep it forever. And at the very least, do us a favor and like and share these audio and video shows. You know, when you interact with those pages and give us a rating, give us 5 stars. If you like what we're doing here at the OTR Universe, it really helps the algorithm, helps increase our reach. You can also check out all the past episodes of On the Range Podcast, Warhog Tactical, Kelley Defense on the websites, and just go check them out. I wouldn't call myself a musician, but I do love music, and I do play. Those who aren't new to the OTR universe know that much of the music, intro music, theme songs, and stuff like that, I do myself. It's a great gift that my mom gave us. And it's been a lifelong pleasure to be able to, and just a joy to be able to make music when I want to. And I haven't given it up. I haven't practiced as much as I wanted to because I'm not a professional musician. But I love music. I learned about rock and roll, the 70s and 80s rock and roll. Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, Van Halen, Journey. A lot of wide variety of music came out in those time periods. Some people hated the 80s. A lot of the music that I still listen to and go see shows were the metal bands and rock and roll bands in the 80s. Late 70s, they got their start. Some of them in the late 60s. Molly Hatchet. I remember my brother had Toys in the Attic album by Aerosmith. What a great album. They had a lot of blues influences still back then. When my dad was listening to music, he was listening to the Memphis 50s with Elvis, Buddy Holly. They took a lot from rhythm and blues and gospel. Well, the late 70s and early 80s took their rock and roll. A lot of the influence was from blues music like Bo Diddley. Jimi Hendrix came out. But they also took a lot from disco, believe it or not, and the funk era, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and stuff like that. And that's when it pretty much turned into the 80s rock, Van Halen. Aerosmith had a lot of blues influences in there. Now, we all have a story about how we got hooked into music. You can remember when you were young, something just struck a chord with you, literally. Like I said, my brother had some great music albums before I still really knew what music was, and I kind of got into the music. My uncle, too, he actually had a Judas Priest record. I loved it. I've seen Judas Priest multiple times. I've still seen them. They're coming around to my town this fall, and they're still getting after it. Now, disco, being a kid in the 70s, I didn't hate disco. I don't hate it, but it did get old pretty fast. It kind of fizzled out. Back then, Saturday Night Fever, I think, came out in 1977. But Kiss released their Kiss Alive 2 album in 77 as well. And that was the hook for me for live music. And I'm going to get to the point here. They sounded so good on that record. They were the first ones to really do. Now there were some others out there, but they were the first ones that put out, a couple of albums where there was a full set, live set, and they just sounded so good. Plus, they had the look. They had that rock star look with the makeup and all that, and the Kiss Army stuff. And then that was it. That was it. And I started going to concerts when I was in my early teens. Sometimes my mom would take me. She'd have to buy herself a ticket. She probably wouldn't hang around most of the time. She'd go up in the mezzanine and walk around. But that was it for me. And I wanted to see and hear live music, live bands. I always thought the music sounded better live. It was raw. It was real. It was them playing. And man, they were talented. A lot of great bands still getting after it. Some of them are getting close to 70. Some of them are over 70. Now, I had an opportunity to go to a stadium tour that started a couple years ago. Weren't able to make it happen because of the pandemic. Well, they finally started touring, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But first, I want to talk to you about the support that Manscaped gives the OTR universe. Support for On the Range podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. They are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for those family jewels, guys. You know what? The Manscaped Performance Package, it's amazing. It's the best bundle that they have. You can join over 4 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped. Now you can use this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping by using the promo code OTR20. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code OTR20. Now, the trimmers, both the lawnmower and the weed whacker, waterproof, superb engineering, got a spotlight on the lawnmower, rechargeable, so you're not tied to a wall outlet. If you get the package, it comes with a great travel bag called the Shed, so you can put your tools in the shed. I love it. But just a great, great product. Their boxer drawers that comes with the performance package are unbelievably comfortable. You also get a t-shirt. Get some other products down there for the to up your level of game in the below the waist man grooming. So check it out. And ladies, you'll love it too. If your man needs to up their game in that area, go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code OTR20. Save yourself a boatload of cash, 20%. There's no reason not to try it. So talking about the stadium tour I'm talking about, it's the Def Leppard, Motley Crue stadium tour. They also had Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, along with Poison. My wife and I took our 2 daughters, had a blast. Motley Crue actually was not the headliner. They allowed Def Leppard to be the headliner. I'm sure they switched back and forth. They both sold a ton of records. I believe Def Leppard actually eclipsed them when it comes to just general sales. But Joan Jett was out there with the Blackhearts, Poison, and it was just a great show. The show was good. It was a lot of fun. And it really took me back to my youth and demonstrated why I went to live shows. They sounded really good. They sounded really good. Now, think about that for a second. How many times, and this is a fair question, how many times does that happen? When you've talked to your kids about how awesome the concerts were that you went to, and these guys, they put on these amazing shows, and they had girls dancing, and they were singing backup, and they had explosions and lasers. And you actually get to show your kids what you're talking about. They get to see it firsthand. Instead of listening to the old man stories, they actually get to experience it themselves. Am I right? They've heard Dad talk about it for years. Now they get to go see it. It was unbelievable. It was a rock and roll concert. Joan Jett played a real good set, sounded great. Back then you got it all at a show. And that's a little bit lacking, a little bit of theater. Alice Cooper, he was basically a modern-day vaudeville with all the antics he did on stage. He has a big Frankenstein running around when he played his Frankenstein song. The whole place looked like Frankenstein's castle, his lab. Unbelievable. The music, the clothes, the laser lights, the pyrotechnics. They even had these big dragons. They'd be spitting fire. It was unbelievable. It's showbiz. And that's exactly what it is. You got the whole ball of wax. Alice Cooper used to say, you used to get the Disney e-ticket, the everything ticket. You got the show, the music, the lights, the interaction. Paul Stanley said, some people are ham. He's the whole pig for Kiss, but they had a great, great night. Now, along those lines, we're talking about live music, how much I love it, and how when I first heard that Kiss Alive 2 record, that it drew me to concerts because the music was so good. And these guys are talented. Folks who are doing music, acting, whatever, they're performers, they are good. Or we wouldn't be talking about them if they couldn't play. And if their songwriting sucked, we wouldn't even be talking about them. Now, you can get along for a little while with a shtick. Everybody wants to see it, but then it's over, right? These guys have been doing it for 4 decades. And they still sound pretty damn good. Now, these bands are iconic figures. Have they lost a step musically? Yes. Are they getting up there in age and the energy's not quite there that they could perform? Yes. But I saw a lot of articles coming out. I started searching out just to see how some of the shows and what people were saying about it, what to expect. I've seen them multiple times, all those bands except for Joan Jett. That was the first time. And I heard a lot of things coming out. A lot of things coming out that a lot of these bands were using some modern day technology, mainly backing tracks. Some of these guys can't hit those high notes as well as they can all the time. They just can't. So they use backing tracks for things such as that. A little bit of background singing. Sometimes they fill in with the background tracks for the background singing. So it takes some of the burden off of their voice because they are getting up there in age. Some of them are over 60 years old in Motley Crue. And the articles were saying, hey, man, I feel duped. This is what I paid for. I want my money back. It's not live rock and roll. I paid to see live rock and roll. And it was obvious that some backing tracks were being used. They had now, Motley Crue had some girls on stage that were singing some of the background vocals, and that was obviously, again, to take some of the burden off of Vince Neil. But Vince Neil was singing live, to be fair to him. He was singing live. Now, my understanding is this technology is so good now that some of the music is a track. So many of the pieces of the music may actually be a recording, a backtrack. Now, this technology exists. It assists performances. It does a lot of things other than just take the burden off the high notes. It keeps the set moving. It keeps the pace going. I saw one guy in an article complaining that Vince Neil, during between song raps, talking to the crowd, getting them fired up, that kind of thing, was using a teleprompter. Well, the President of the United States uses a teleprompter. If you're a performer, wouldn't you want to give a consistent performance each time so that each crowd, stadium full of people, gets the same experience? I don't see a problem with those things. Now, these backing tracks are a thing. They contain vocals and music. The girls, they were called the Nasty Habits that were with Motley Crue. They helped raise the energy level. They had a big part in the show. Sounded pretty good. Now, how much of the singing they were doing, I don't know. I also heard and noticed that Vince Neil spent a lot of time off stage. Look, guys, it's hot. It's middle of July. He's fully clothed with jeans, jean jacket, shirts. He's running around as best he can. So, yeah, he's going to go back and sit down and get something to drink. I'm willing to give some of these guys some slack. But I hear the argument. I'm the customer. That guy who's saying I feel duped, he's a customer too. Aren't we able to ask those kind of questions? I'm the one paying. I'm the one you're entertaining. Is it fair to ask some of those questions? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not cheap to attend those shows. And I get it. I'm the same way. I want to hear live music. I had a good time. I thought it sounded great. There's no doubt in my mind that some of those technologies were being used. Now, these bands are, like I said, they're entertainers. Just give you my final thoughts here. They're entertainers. They want to entertain you. They want to give you a good, solid experience. You cannot do this for 41 years. And I've looked at their schedule. It's every other day they're in another city. Every other day. For months. You have to have some passion and drive to do this. I thought they performed well. Like I said, Vince Neil was singing live, to his credit. Was he off key sometimes? Sure. Was his pitch a little off? Yep. Like I said, I didn't care. Most of the time it wasn't. But yeah, I want to see live music, and I'm hoping that the entire show was not a track. So I can see the arguments both ways. I want to see live music. I know Eddie Trunk does a lot of talking about these, and he is just absolute dead set against it. I guess the way I look at it, if those technologies can assist and keep these folks on stage for as long as they are willing to and able to, because age catches us all, I can cut it a little bit of slack. I can cut a little bit of slack because I enjoyed going. I had a great time. And I can't say that I won't go anymore because of that, because they do have a soft spot in my heart. And man, they knocked it out of the park. Everybody had fun. It was a good show. Tell me what you think about this, guys. Maybe you won't go see anybody anymore, especially that are getting older, like the 80s hair bands and stuff like that, because of these type of issues. You feel like you're being duped? Let me know what you think. Leave us a comment below. Make sure you go to kelleydefense.com and warhawk.com. Sign up for our emails. Receive our newsletters. Click on OTR Training on Demand. Download, stream. It's ready to go. Your full training video catalog. Become a member of our Patreon page at patreon.com/On the Range Podcast. Thanks for all the support you've been giving us. Really been crushing the views and the listens. It's a lot easier to consume now. We're on Vimeo. We're on Fire TV. We're on Roku. Everywhere that an audio podcast can be consumed, you can find us. You can even go to your Echo Dot, and say, hey, play On the Range Podcast. It's going to play. So make sure you check it out. Interact with the page. Give us a 5-star rating on the audio. And at the very least, guys, share, subscribe, and like these audio and video shows. Go out there and have a great weekend, guys, and rock out.